Takisha, if you want to do the questions from the ladies first, and then we can go into the interview questions, we can do it that way. It's up to you, however you want to conduct conduct tonight. Okay. So I'm going to give her the floor to introduce herself, and welcome to Women Working the Visions training on tonight, dealing with finances. And I'm just excited to have our special guest, Takisha.
Okay. Okay. So I think there is a big lag.
Big.
Yes. Okay. So I am Takisha Artis. I am a financial life coach. I teach women how to transform their beliefs and bank account to confidently sustain a wealthy lifestyle. I really feel like we know what to do, but there is something within us. Yeah. I'm hearing myself.
Me too. But keep going. I can hear you though.
Okay. Um, it's so distracting. So,
It is. That's why I took mine out, but I put it back in. But I put it back in. But
let's see if that works. So I really know that a lot of women are in a position where they're making good money. They don't have the resources to figure out why they're not achieving their financial goals. And, we make the money, but we can't keep the money. We can't invest the money. We can't save the money. So there has to be some disconnect with our goals and what we're trying to do. And I think a lot of that is we don't have the strategy, we don't have the mindset for it. We don't have that money mindset. And I think that's the key piece that's, holding a lot of us from achieving our financial goals, because we know what to do. We know what we should be doing. There's just a piece that's missing, that's not allowing us to kind of finish it off or stick to those goals.
I agree wholeheartedly. I've recently been focusing more on my mindset as it relates to just my entire being and including my money. So I'm excited to know that you're dealing with the issue of money from, first of all, the mindset first, because that is a big block that people are not aware of,
Yes.
that is keeping them from having that increase. Like you paying your tithes, you're giving, you're doing all these things. You're trying to save, you're trying to follow your budget, but somehow the money eludes you.
Yes. I think a key piece is that we don't realize, or we take for granted that, you know, finances isn't taught, and the teachers are usually our parents, or, someone very close to us. And sometimes we pick up their habits, their traits. And sometimes those just aren't good ones because they're coming from a different time, a different generation. So we have to start seeing if what we have been taught is still serving us. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes, you know, 3, 4 generations before us, times were very different. And so we've continued to pass down those same habits. And at some point, you got to break out of the habit to see, is this still serving me? Is this still how I should be handling money? Is this still, true?
Yes. So let's get into, so we'll do the first two questions that were asked by the ladies in the group.
Okay.
And our first question was, how does one create a user-friendly budget that you can stick to?
So I think before you create a budget, you have to know why you want to create a budget. Don't just create a budget because, some financial person told you or you think you should. Um, Budgeting is just a tool to help you identify where you want your money to go. So If you're saying, okay, I want to know where all of my money is going, you have to go back a step and actually track where your money went. And once you know, okay, why do I want to create a budget? Maybe you're saying, like, I'm still living check to check. I'm not able to pay all of my bills, but I should have enough money. Let me create a budget. So then your key goal is, I want to know where my money should go. Not where it went, where it should go. Where am I going to give this money purpose? Once you've identified where it should go, you want to stick with it to see if those numbers are true numbers. A lot of times we think, oh, I'm only spending $150 at the grocery store, but consistently you spend $200. And so you're like, well, where's this, where's my money going? Well, your budget wasn't a true budget, so you need to adjust it. And I say you do it 1 month, look at it, review it, see how it works, and then do it another month so you can get in the habit of seeing what your true expenses are. A lot of times we create budgets based off of unrealistic numbers. So that's what I think about budgeting. I think you should have definitely an idea of why you want to do it. And if you get resistance around creating a budget, I would see why. Maybe you're like, it doesn't work. And maybe the way you do it didn't work for you. Maybe you can create a different plan, or maybe the whole word budget is something that gives you a little bit of tension and anxiety. So in your mind, it doesn't work, so you don't want to work it, so it really doesn't work. But it's just a tool. It's just you telling your money where you want it to go. That's what I think of budgeting.
Great. And I use a budget, and it is a great tool to help keep me on track so that I'm not overspending.
Yes.
So I know this is what is left, Mona.
Yes, and that's a key thing. You can't create a budget and just forget about it. You got to go back and look at it. Did you overspend? Did you underspend? Like, where's the gap between your paycheck and I don't have enough this month? Like, really look to see, okay, I spent a lot in this category. There's a free app called Mint. I love it. I recommend it to all of my clients because it's all encompassing. You can create a budget in there. You can track your finances in there. You can track your credit score. You can really, I like the fact that you can track your net worth. And that's very powerful. A lot of people think, oh, I'm making, 6 figures or whatever, so I'm rich or I have a lot of money. But you may make a lot of money. That doesn't mean you are keeping a lot of money. And that's the true calculator of your net worth, your wealth. How much of this are you keeping? That's the goal. It's not, yes, it's good to make the money, but how much are you keeping to do for future things with?
And could you spell that, or if you just come back later and type it in the comments for the awesome. And then our second question: how do we teach our children to be good stewards over their money at an early age?
Okay,
great question.
I have a 18-year-old, and I started to get him familiar with budgeting unintentionally. So at Christmas time, I would say, Christmas time, kids get that Toys R Us catalog, and they want everything in there. And I don't remember what age it was, but I would say, okay, you have X amount of dollars. Let's go through the catalog again and see how much you can get with this amount. So I started to teach him budgeting very early. Well, then on birthdays, he would say, okay, well, I have $100. What can I get with that? Well, what is it that you really want? And is it under that amount? So I started to teach him the value of, okay, this is how much you have to work with. What do you really want? And what I realized is that instead of him circling every toy that he wanted, he had to prioritize what he really, really wanted. Because you only got this much. This is all you get. And so he started to realize, like, okay, well, I probably won't play with that. I want this. And so that budgeting, we just kept doing it. And so he's 18 now, and he budgets um, with the best of them. He's very intentional because that budgeting allowed him to see there is no excess unless I do this or I bring more money in. And it made him see that, okay, I can't buy everything just because I have the money, because in X amount, Madden may come out or 2K may come out. So I have to put money aside for that. And so I started to help him save money. So what are you saving this for? You know that those two games come out in September, August, September. You need to put that money aside. So let's go to GameStop and, put some money down so that you won't spend it all. So there are certain things that kids want. It's just being honest with them about, I'm not saying that they need to know your whole financial situation. That's not what I'm saying. But there should be a level of conversation that parents have with their kids instead of, I can't afford that, I can't buy that, you can't have that, blah, blah, blah. Because what you're doing is you're letting your kids know in their kid mind that money is scarce. And that's not something, because they become adults who think money is scarce. So there's conversations that you could say like, okay, well, I told my son, like, it's one income, because I'm a single mom. It's one income coming in here. And so what I do is I have to make sure that one income provides for all of our wants and needs. So we need to be very clear on what our wants are. We can't have all of it right now. So let's focus on the things that really, really matter to us. And it would be like, okay, well, I want to go here. And I'm like, okay, well, we have money for that. Or, okay, that's not in the budget right now. So I never say like that's too expensive or you can't have that. That's just not in the budget right now. And what that lets him do is it reminds him like, oh, I remember because the time I had $200 and I wanted something and I just didn't have enough money for it. So it's just changing the narrative and how we use our words when it comes to money and how we talk to our kids about it as well.
That was great because I know that was big. Like, boy, I have no money.
No, take that.
But I had to change my language. Yes. I'm in between blessings.
Yes, it's not in the budget. Just they say there's life in death and the power of our tongue. So be very mindful of the words that you speak about money, because your kids are repeating those same things because you're their greatest teacher. So you just want to be mindful about what you're putting out there. I don't want to say that's too expensive. That I just, it's not in the budget right now, and just leave it at that. Or I have to check. Like if we're in the store and he wants something, I said not right now. I just never want to put that negative energy around my words when it comes to money, because I know in his childlike mind he's trying to figure it out as well, because that's what we did. And so we have money blocks and sayings that we're still trying to correct. Like I know when I was younger, my grandmother would say money doesn't grow on trees. That in fact it does, Grandma.
It's made out of trees.
So we just have to make sure that we're using phrases that have meaning to us that still serve us, because now we're repeating them and thinking that same way when it may not be true.
Right. And the Bible teaches us, so as a man or woman thinketh, so is he.
Yes.
And so it's so important that our thoughts are in alignment with money in the right way.
Yes. And
I never really thought about that. Like, wow.
I will say this. If you are a tither and you are not saving 10% for you, I want you to figure out why not. Why not? You are giving to the church, you're giving your tithes, but you also have to put something up for you. So you should be giving both tithing and to you. It's not an either or. It's not an either or. You need to be doing both.
I
Because you're
agree.
your first priority. And so
Yes.
and so sometimes people say, well, I can't afford to do both. You can't afford not to. So you just have to reprioritize your bills to, if you are doing both, you do those two first and then you figure everything out. You don't figure everything out and then figure out how much you can save. You save off the top because you need that emergency money.
Yes.
I call it a freedom fund. Freedom for whatever you may need, but a freedom fund. So your emergencies, your freedom fund, because you may need it for, to fix something. Well, you are free to fix it. You may need it for whatever, but it's your freedom fund.
I like that freedom fund.
Yes.
So I believe you've answered two of the questions that I had here. So I'll go into this third question. Why do you think people have a hard time with budgeting and tracking their finances?
Because it's not important to them. I think we all want the money. We don't know how to do it, and I think a big part of it is it's just not taught in schools. And I think the second part is we're taught to buy. We're taught to be consumers. We're not really taught how to deny ourselves that instant gratification to put some money aside. So it's very challenging to start to want to be better with your finances when everything that you know and have been taught has told you to spend it all, to buy what you want, but not really how to do those things. Like, we know we should, but how do I do that? How do I wrap my mind around, looking at my finances? I recommend my clients, when they want to kind of get into the habit of tracking or setting a budget, they have what I call a money meeting. And a money meeting can be very quick. It does not have to be all day. You can set a timer for 10 minutes. And you could just say, okay, the first thing, I have a money meeting every time I get paid at my job. And the first couple minutes is just me paying my bills. So I say, okay, this is what needs to be paid, and I pay it. And I look at my savings account. And the only reason I'm looking at my savings account is since all of that money went out, I'm like, I need that reminder that I have money growing and I'm accumulating. So it's just a mind trick. I go on Mint because Mint shows my 401k. So I like to look at it because it has a high balance in it. So it's like, okay, yes, money's going out, but I have money saved. I have money accumulating. I'm okay. So it's just me being kind of showing gratitude that, yeah, the money went out, but it's also me reminding me that even though it went out, I'm still saving. I'm still working on my freedom fund. I'm still on my, achieving my financial goals. And I think that may be another problem with people in their tracking. They think that you have to save it all in 1 year. You can have a long-term financial goal. If your goal is to save $1,000, let that be the goal, the end result, but focus on saving consistently without having to transfer money back out. So yes, saving the $1,000 is the result, but the goal, the action, is to just consistently put that money in a savings account and leave it there. I tell my clients, when you're creating your savings account, know what it's for. When you know what it's for, you know the reasons why you should be taking money out of it. So when you know why you should be taking money out of it, okay, just because I overspent this month doesn't mean that I can take money out of that account. So I'm not taking money out of my account just because I overspent. Because that's what most of us do. We're like, oh, I need an extra, $30. Let me just take it from my savings. No, that doesn't qualify for the reason you created the account. So it doesn't qualify for you taking money out of that account.
Great.
And you going without will remind you next time you should be more, diligent with your finances, because it's not there. It's not what it's for.
That is good. And I agree. We have to shift the mindset.
Yes.
As you say, trick the mindset. But the trick is in the shift.
Yes.
Because we have to be consistent with the shifting. Because we're not used to that. And so we have to, as they say, maybe 21 days of doing that sounds good, Takisha, a money mind challenge. 21 days.
So I do have a money mindset challenge.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, I created it in my Facebook group and it's 5 days. What I've realized is that if you shift certain beliefs about money, it becomes very easy. So I can't see any of the comments, but if I say, what phrase do you constantly tell yourself about money, or what phrase would you identify with your relationship with money? I can help you reframe that thought, and once you reframe that thought, you look at money totally different. It's a 4-step process, because what happens is we've been doing this for so long, it's ingrained in us. So now you have to reframe that thought. Well, you may have that thought for 20, 30 years, depending on when you got it. So I'm trying to think of one. Oh, I have one. So one of my clients, she kept saying, I'm not good with money. And I'm like, well, what do you mean you're not good with money? And she's like, I'm not good with it. I'm like, well, give me, examples. And she would say, well, in the past, I would spend all my money. And I'm like, okay, so do you spend it all now? She's like, no. I'm like, so that statement isn't really true. But because you have been so used to hearing it and saying it, it's fact to you. So in order to change the narrative, you have to say, is that really true? Is that statement true? Am I really not good with money? No, it's not true, because number one, you just said you are better with money. And number two, you're on a phone call with me getting one-on-one help. That lets me know you want some type of change. So that's not true. So what's the new narrative that we want to say about it? I am good with money. I am becoming better with money. Most people take that affirmation and they stop there.
Affirmation. Mm-hmm.
You can't stop there. You need one more step. You now need to find new evidence to support the affirmation. That's why when you just say affirmations, they don't work, because you don't feel it. You don't have any support to back it up. So now find the support. Well, the support was you're working on your finances. Therefore, you are trying. So you aren't what you said you were. That shift was so quick for her, because she's like, you're right, I am getting better with money. Right. So now stop saying that old saying, because it's not true. So if you find yourself saying, like I said, it's easier when they give me like certain examples.
Right.
But whatever it is that you are saying that's negative, it could be anything really. You could use it on anything. Identify what the statement is you're saying that's negative. Ask yourself, is this true? Is this still serving me? If it's not, create a new narrative, a new affirmation. Once you find the affirmation, you now need to find new support for it, new evidence. You have to, because if you just say the affirmation, third, fourth day, you may forget, and then those same habits come up. But then once you realize, oh, that's not true, you stop saying it because you found the evidence to support it. Just like when you created the bad habit, you found evidence to support it. So you was like, that's true.
That is so true. So we have to go beyond just speaking the affirmation. we have to speak it till we believe it, and make sure we're speaking what is true. Get it in our mind, and really let it marinate. And how does money? Okay, you know how we say for women, you attract who you are. Like who you really are on the inside. This is the type of person or man you're attracting. You keep attracting men that are not good for you because you really don't love you. You know what I'm saying? So is that true for money?
I get what you're saying. I do believe that there is some truth to that. I do believe that there is a level of when you treat you better, everything else kind of falls into place. But I don't necessarily know if it's a worth. I think that sometimes we're just not putting the work in to work on us. And so what we attract is distance. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't attract someone who is willing to work with us because we're not willing to work with us either.
Exactly.
So yeah, I definitely get that. Definitely.
Alrighty. Last question. If someone has the same goals from last year that they can't seem to achieve, what should they do? I would call these rollover goals. That's what I call those.
So I would say the goals that they had in, let's say, January, I would reevaluate them to see why they haven't achieved them. And are they goals that they really want? Sometimes we set goals based on the criteria that other people tell us we should have or we should be doing. So if the goal is really a true goal, why is it important to you? So if it's, say you are like, I want to pay down my credit card bill. Why is that important to you? So once you figure out why it's important to you, you can get behind paying it off every month because you understand it's bigger than just paying it down. You have a real reason to. If the goal isn't important to you, take it off the list. All goals should have a real meaning to them. It's just not, okay, I want to save $1,000 for my emergency fund. I want to get an 850 credit score. I want to buy a house. Right, but which of those is the most important to you right now that you can actually achieve right now? Those may be long-term goals. I think we create goals, but we're not intentional with them. So if you are really trying to be better with your finances, why is it important right now? Like, really, why is it important for you to be better with your finances? I can give you hundreds of reasons why. There's a forecasted recession coming. Our buying dollars won't be, what they were. There will be, the more debt you get, the more unhappy you'll be. The anxiety that you have around money. There are several different reasons why you should, but what's the most important to you? I posted today, what did it say? Who suffers if you don't get your finances together? Who suffers? If you are a mom, your family. If you are a daughter, maybe you won't be able to take care of your parents when they get of age. Maybe if you are a mom, your future kids, their kids. It doesn't just stop with us. If you are a servant, maybe your community, those you serve, it just doesn't stop with us. So you have to really, when it comes to financial goals, who suffers if you don't get your act together?
It's generational.
Yeah. But I think a lot of it is mental. We need to know why it's important to us. We need to understand.
I really feel like we